Okay, we're back, we're live, we're at ThinkTech Talks here on a given Wednesday. Wednesday, my favorite day of the week, because Wednesday is always, inevitably, Energy Wednesday. And of course, it's Hawaii, the state of clean energy. My co-host is Ray Starling. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Jay.
Thanks for being here.
I'm glad to be here.
And our other co-host, our other erstwhile co-host, is in somewhere deep in the bowels of Europe, examining the currency issues there, I'm sure, and the energy issues as well. And we have today, for the first part of the show anyway, Mark Glick from the Energy Office at DBED to talk about what's been going on in a number of exciting developments. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you, Jay.
So let's sort of just some of the things that I know and that Ray knows. Let's set the stage, okay? First is there was this remarkable press conference yesterday over some decision by the PUC not to accept the IRP that was submitted a few months ago, and to flush that whole process. What happened, Ray?
Well, actually, a lot of people are still looking at the very lengthy document that describes what the PUC issued in its order, decision and order. And so it's not entirely clear. People are not feeling comfortable talking about it right now until they really get a feel, because they not only issued that, they issued 3 other orders that were in some ways related to the IRP. And so basically what we can say is that the IRP process that had gone on with a fairly sizable working group with the utilities.
It was almost 50 people, more than 50 people.
It was quite a few people, and actually the PUC had wanted to do it differently from the way it had always been done. By the way, it's always been done in a way that served us well for over 100 years. So we were sort of following along that same path, but the recognition was that change was coming, and we needed to change. So the process was designed to try to come up with a broader idea of what needs to be done, having a lot of stakeholders feeding into this process. And at the end of the day, the process looked pretty much like it had been looked at by a lot of people, but it came up with a lot of the same kinds of conclusions. And ultimately, the PUC rejected it and said that that was not going far enough. It did make some changes, but it was not where the PUC wanted it to go, as I gather from their decision. And so they rejected it and basically said, here's the plan that we would like for you to follow. And again, people are trying to get their arms around what that all means.
Whatever it is, this is disruptive. I mean, in the sense that it changes things. It's not the way it was anymore. It's different, and we're not sure exactly. You know about this?
Yeah, I heard about it. I attended the press conference, and we viewed it. We issued a press release afterwards, and we viewed it as a very positive step. The administration strongly supportive of the 4 decision and orders, as well as the call for 2 action improvement plans in generation and in the whole grid modernization effort, and things that I think the Commission found lacking in the integrated resource plan. So it gives HECO and Hawaii Electric companies 120 days to put together those 2 action plans, and I think the PUC really ought to be commended for taking a strong stand, taking the time to write what's essentially a good roadmap for what should be looked at, what kinds of answers should be forthcoming from the utility. And we look forward to working together to try to get those plans into place, digest them, and come up with a good working result after that to solve interconnection problems, work towards inter-island transmission, to try to deal with bottlenecks, and also improve efficiency of power plants, and work towards solutions that will provide real rate relief to
Yeah.
ratepayers.
It is a turning point. That's what it sounded like to me, because whatever we were doing before, whether you say it was the best, format or not, it took a long time and didn't give us a result. And without having read all the material that's involved, I'm sure you have, Mark, but it strikes me is that this is an attempt to wrestle more directly with all these pending questions
Right.
and make a format that will actually give us a result. And that can't be bad. That's got to be a good thing.
And I think the commission and the commission staff did a lot of work. I mean, you can't try to sift through those documents without realizing that they were very well thought through. They were linked together, and the staff did a great job of getting it pulled together. And the PUC commissioners, I think, made a bold move in doing what they're doing. And I think I've already heard from people on the mainland, they're really watching this because this is critical. We're at the cutting edge of what's going on out here, and this was a big step in a direction that's never been taken before. So I think it's good.
Well, and we worked last year with the governor very closely, Richard Lim, myself, to develop new energy policy directives. The PUC incorporated those in their findings, and as the governor said, to achieve true energy transformation, which is really what Hawaii, has been doing. All of us have been working to do that. It requires no less than this, and he was clear. What came out yesterday were not recommendations; they were actual guidelines for action, and he called it a real transformative moment in the clean energy agenda, a real important step, and I agree.
Yeah, shout out for the PUC, yay!
Yeah.
Shout out for Carl Friedman too, because
He did a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
It was a long process for everybody on that working group.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'm going to go to Derek Sonota out there, patient.
Oh, I was wondering if
we
we got
haven't
him at
forgotten
the
Derek.
megawatt moment.
Don't go away, Derek. But the other thing I wanted to mention in the way of big news is the barrel tax passed, and that is something struggling with that. Shout out for the whole ledge. Yeah. And so that's a good thing. What does it mean in the larger sense? What does it mean in terms of legislative attitude? What does it mean in terms of effect? Thoughts?
Well, I think the main thing is that what did get passed this year were two important parts of the so-called barrel tax. The fee on petroleum products that go to energy transformation, to seed the costs of energy transformation. Last year, and it's something that kind of slipped by the legislature, I really believe, the Hawaii Natural Energy Institute, which has done groundbreaking work in a lot of these grid modernization issues, certainly the smart grid projects in Maui and a whole host of other things. Their funding from the barrel tax got sunsetted at the end of the session last year, or actually the end of the fiscal year. And I don't really believe the legislature intended for that to happen. So there was an important measure this year that reinstated HNEI's, or the Energy's Development
That is important.
Special Fund, and Energy Systems Development Special Fund, and that funds HNEI. That got reinstated, and along with that special fund and all of the other special funds, including the Department of Health's Emergency Management Fund, Department of Agriculture, as well as the Energy Security Special Fund, which funds the Energy Office, all of those now are aligned with our clean energy goals 2030. So they were set to sunset at the end of 2015. So the big accomplishment this year was that the legislature really was a vote of endorsement on our progress and the fact that we need to continue this investment through this source, and they've now aligned it with the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative goals at 2030, and it now will sunset in 2030. And hopefully we'll have our job done by then, and we'll be happy to say, yeah, we succeeded. We have now enormous majority of our power generation is now coming from renewable sources, and we've reduced, through efficiency measures, we've really so many gigawatt hours. Right now it's 4,300 gigawatt hours, but to achieve by 2030. But hopefully it'll be even more than that.
Well, yeah, I think we all hope to do better than what the goal is right now, and I think we can. I mean, we've actually determined that probably that more efficiency could be done.
Right.
There's more opportunity out there than we had thought.
Job is never done, Ray.
It's never done.
But there's a great segue for Derek Sonota. Derek, you have some news for us, please.
I do.
Clue us in on Mr. Jewell, Mark Jewell.
I do. So many of you may have heard all the negative moments, and what Hawaii Energy tries to do every week is bring to you some tidbits of how you can participate in the energy world. And one of the things that we have done today is, there's all these professionals, all these subject matter experts, and we need more of them. And so we have this gentleman, his name is Mark Jewell. He is from a company called EEFG. And what he's going to be doing in the near future, next week in fact, and there's still a few bits of spaces open, is he is going to take energy people who sell them, who look at them, evaluate projects, and help them become an even bigger sales professional about this. And he calls this the Energy Boot Camp. And at this Energy Boot Camp, it's a 5-day graduate level extensive course to allow people to put a higher value on doing energy efficiency projects from 2 different points of view. One of them is going to be when you're selling a project. The other one is going to be when you're at an organization or a company and you want to add value into the way your organization really puts a value on it, and it may or may not even use the words of KW or KWH. So this is something that if you are taking a look at large projects, you are in the finance area, you're in the accounting area for your corporation, and you want to bring value into the energy world, into your company, you should seriously take a look at this class. Hawaii Energy has been subsidizing this program for 3 years now, and we're doing it again. 90% of the cost we are paying for it. You pay a small nominal fee to get graduate level training, and this is really an excellent course.
How do I sign up?
All you have to do is come to hawaiienergy.com, go ahead and look at the education part, and you'll find the links, and you can sign up. Sign up right away. This is something that's extremely valuable
And
to
where
you
is
and
it
your
again?
organization. This one is going to be held in Waikiki at the Doubletree Alana Hotel, and everything is taken care of it for you. You're even going to get fed there, so it's a great deal.
Well, let me add that we interviewed Mark Jewell when last time he was just about to come here, about a month ago, I think, maybe a little more. And he's a great speaker, It's like a TED Talks level speaker.
Yes.
Super articulate, super smart, super helpful. I don't know how people like that can actually exist. I don't know how they, can sleep at night. He's so totally alive with information. So he's a great speaker. It's worthwhile. It's only a great program. And I'd like to come down there with my camera and take a piece of it.
Please do.
Okay, all right, I heard that.
We are very happy
Got
to
it
have
on
Mark.
record, yeah.
He is so passionate about helping Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Derek.
Thank you.
Great. Here's a shout out to, actually I don't have to shout very far, a shout out to Hawaii Energy for bringing Mark Jewell in again.
Right. Well, thank you, and thank you to the customers of the utilities that actually pay for that.
Okay. All right, let's go back to Mark now, the other Mark. Let's see. We can talk about more legislative developments, or we should also talk about on-bill financing and how that's doing. What do you prefer?
Sure. Oh, we can do a little both. And there's some synergy there because one of the other successes of the legislative session was we had wanted to increase the bond capability or the bond ceiling for our GEMS program, the Green Energy Market Securitization.
GEMS.
GEMS, yeah, GEMS. That was passed last year as Senate Bill 1087 by the legislature. Our staff is hard at work and have been in heavy dialogue with the Public Utilities Commission, preparing 2 major applications. One that has to do with the way the program works, and then one on the financing.
Applications
of the
to the PUC.
applications to the PUC to effectuate the program, and those will be forthcoming. Those applications will be forthcoming in the coming month or so, and we're still on track, we believe, to get this program into a place where we could be issuing loans by the end of the year.
Just for the scenario, so people can understand where this really fits in the landscape. This is industrial strength loans for industrial strength energy, renewable energy projects. We're talking about the bigger money, not your home, but some kind of commercial project. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's taking advantage, particularly now with bond rates as they are. Instead of using, Brookings, in fact, just came out. Brookings Rockefeller came out with a nice article and study where it compared traditional forms of financing. They kind of referred to them as anachronistic, where the rates of return can typically approach private equity rates, 12 to 15%. This approach takes bond financing. In fact, in the way it's structured, it can get very good bond financing, AAA, and then you merge it with with a repayment structure with on-bill, where it's essentially tied to the utility bill, and you have a very effective program with
Incentivizes both sides of the transaction.
and the major thing here is that it actually gives much more access to underserved markets, low and moderate income, and even nonprofits and others that pay their utility bills. They have the ability by applying for these loans to have a mechanism that is much more accessible to them than having to go sell their project to the bank, the local bank.
Well, let's flip to the other side of that. So I'm an investor. I want to buy a bond. What kind of rate of return? I guess it's a tax-free bond, like a municipal bond, or a state tax-free bond. Tell me what it's about. Why should I buy a GEMS bond?
Well, and the people to actually talk about that, I know that Calvert Young and others were in New York recently and had enormous response from the bond markets and from people who wanted to participate in this. And I think the reason why is that the potential of getting, dealing with an aggressive state that has a clear policy and it's really moving ahead aggressively, but you put together a program that when you match it with what we're using is a surcharge from the utility rates, basically part of the public benefits fund.
Public benefits fee that
Yeah.
funds our program as well.
When you use that as securitization, it gives a great deal of comfort.
Sure.
And then on the back end,
So you get it's a bond that's secured. It's a tax-free bond. Is this something I can buy with my $1.50? Do I have to go through a bond broker, or is this meant for Goldman Sachs only?
no,
kind of thing?
this is definitely geared towards the large,
Big
the
denominations.
big players, and they're ready to participate. And then
They are ready.
They
We
are.
know that.
We know that.
It's just a matter of dotting the i's, crossing the t's, and they'll be sending checks.
They're chomping at the bit to participate. And on the back end, what we know is that by attaching this to on-bill, you're going to have very low default rates, and you will also be able to reach the underserved markets. So it's really a win-win from all sides. It's the first time that surcharge bond, that securitized bond approach, which Brookings is calling the Hawaii approach, has been merged with the concept of on-bill. And both of those together has created really a unique offering that you may see, once we get this up and running, it'll be proven, you may see it replicated around the country later.
Right now, there's nobody else doing it.
Not quite like this. The structure of using these kinds of bond financing, again, without the on-bill segments, have occurred. First New York, and they had a $1 billion program that was the initial program of this kind, and since then Connecticut has followed course, and really with Hawaii, these have become the 3 leaders in the country on this form of low-cost financing.
Knock
Yeah.
wood for that. This is in tandem somehow, in process related to on-bill financing. Will one hold the other up? do you have to have them both at the same time? Do you have to have one before the other? I mean, what's the rollout sequence on it?
Well, you raised some of the hot questions today.
I didn't realize they were.
Yeah, the truth of men and Ray's been heavily involved, I think, in at least the on-bill financing side of the equation.
Right. I think they've changed the name around, but on bill we know what we're talking about there. But
On
basically
bill
they're both,
is when you get some PV on your roof, and good news, you get to pay it over time, and it's just added to your electric bill right there on your
That's
bill.
right.
It's a great thing. You don't even feel it because you're not paying the regular charge for electricity, and you're paying this relatively modest, charge for the PV, and then, wow, it's just really handy.
So basically, our belief is that for on-bill financing, which is what you just described, and then on-bill repayment, which is a separate mechanism that will be used for programs like the GEMS program, that tariff can be essentially the same. That you don't really have to replicate a process to create multiple tariffs. So we're hoping that we'll be able to streamline and be able to tier on to the on-bill financing work, but we'll also have a separate order that should move forward independently and as quickly, and perhaps even be completed either at the same time or before OBF. We're hoping that the OBF program will be completed sometime in the coming months as well. Any word on your sense of progress there?
Yeah, a lot of it is still in progress, as with the GEMS program, but it does seem to be coming along, and I'm not authorized to speak on behalf of the on-bill program, but we are the program administrator for that particular program. But there are other components. The utility's got a role to play, and a financial administrator has a role to play there. But they're very similar. They're being funded a little bit differently. The public benefits fee is funding the on-bill financing program for right now, and the GEMS program has the bond, which is a little different. It's backed by the public benefits fee, but it is a separate financing entity that is capable of bringing in the really, really big bucks.
So these applications, get one application for the on-bill financing detail, you got one application for the GEMS detail, and they're both going in to the PUC, and the PUC is going to have it all sitting on the desk there, and they can coordinate it, sequence it, connect it. Is that what's going to happen here?
I really don't know for sure
What they'll do, but they could do that, because it's both going to be sitting there at the same time, and they can have this conversation like we're having this conversation,
Well,
if they wish.
yeah.
Well, they will certainly have a program order application as well as a financing order application from us. It should be very clear and straightforward, and we're hoping that we'll be able to work through that process in a very methodical and quick fashion and get the job done appropriately. We also want to make sure that that there is a adequate process and procedure to ensure that the on-bill portion and what Hawaiian Electric needs to do
Sure.
Through their billing system will take place, and that will happen concurrently. And really the details right now are working those processes, really 3 separate activities simultaneously, and aligning that with what's going on with OBF to make sure that that we can take advantage of the work they're doing and this notion of whatever that tariff is ultimately going to be to carry out the program.
Yeah, and ultimately the work is notifying the public about what's out there, what they can do, how they can do it, what the benefits are, why should they do it, and all that. And I feel a strong sense that Derek Sonoda will be back right here in our studio.
Sure
in the
he-
not too,
I'm
he's
sure he
he's
will.
gone already, but in the not too distant future, telling us about this on behalf of Hawaii Energy. Am I right, Ray?
I'm sure he will. But I want to say that the different programs that we're talking about right now, again, the final look of each program in the field and the financing behind it has yet to be blessed by the orders from the PUC. But it looks like there's going to be a nice selection so that no matter what your appetite is, there's a bucket for you to go to and work it. And the commonality, the main commonality is going to be that you pay the bill back on your power bill.
That's a real
and
benefit.
supposedly, you expect that whatever it is that you've spent this money on will reduce your power bill. And there may be some restrictions on some of the programs that ensure that we have a bill neutrality or less in terms of your bill not going up and maybe even going down some. And then there may be some that for people who have an appetite and want to do a bigger project that they can do that. There's money that will be available for them to do that.
Well, I really like the idea of the bigger projects. Conceivably, there would be investors here in Hawaii that could invest in this. I mean, I personally always thought it'd be a good idea to have local institutions or even individual people who had the bucks to do it, to invest in energy projects. That would be good for us, I think. Anyway, Mark, we know that it's not finished. We know that it's going to have to go through some turns at the PUC. We know that we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I really appreciate you coming down on this.
Sure.
And I know that there'll be developments along the way, and maybe you can come back. You and Marissa Sakuda can come back
Sure,
and
absolutely.
talk about this from time to time, because at the end of the day, I think it's really important the public know that it's in the pipeline and see it emerging and know what to do about it.
Sure, as we make progress and we get to the point where we do have, let's say in a few months, we do have a Public Utilities Commission approvals at certain levels, we are going to start marketing and we're going to start really aggressively getting the word out. So, and then by that time, the program order will have defined the specific uses and the applications, and we'll be very eager to talk about all of that.
Okay, all right, we'll hold you to that.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break. We're doing a midterm break, and this has been the first part of our show with Mark Lick, the Energy Administrator from Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism here in Hawaii, the state of clean energy. Me and my co-host, Ray Starling, talking about exciting new developments in energy. Indeed, we have covered some exciting things so far. We're gonna take a short break. We'll be back with Crystal Steiner. We'll talk about car sharing, which is also exciting depending on what kind of car you like. And these are nice cars. Nice cars. Stand by for hearing about nice cars.
Hi, my name is Dr. Rafi. Every week, I'm right here at ThinkTech Hawaii, 3 p.m. on Mondays. My show is Boris's Bio Briefings. What do we do here? Well, we watch sperm swim. We see if they catch anybody. We check out the latest biosimilars. You know, the kind that, what was his name, the guy with the bicycle? I guess we forgot his name, but he was taking EPO and other human growth factors. We'll be talking about human growth factors. You want to know where to get some? Maybe I'll tell. Anyway, you can catch me, as I said, every week right here, Monday, 3 p.m., ThinkTech Hawaii, Dr. Rafi. You can also find me on Twitter, BioInfoMedical. Or you can catch me on Facebook, Dr. Rafael Boritzer. I'll be happy to converse with you. Aloha.
I'm Jay Fidel. That's Sharon Moriwaki of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And every Wednesday we have Hawaii, the state of clean energy. We've been doing it for some time now, and we have some fantastic guests on there, unbelievable guests who give us insight into what is going on in a very complex, sometimes very confusing, sometimes very disappointing area of progress in the state. So we love doing this. We love meeting them. We love talking to them. We love having their ideas out on the table. So maybe, just maybe, we can all make some sense of what's going on. Sharon, what do you think? think?
I think that's absolutely correct. We enjoy ourselves meeting with all these people and hearing about the energy and the state of clean energy, and hopefully we advance clean energy for the state. So it's terrific. Join us. Come
Okay,
join
it's
us.
every Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is Energy Day. Every
Energy
Wednesday,
Wednesday.
4 to 5 p.m. Hawaii, the state of clean energy, here on ThinkTech Hawaii.
Energy
We'll see you
Wednesday.
there. Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here. We're happy. We talked with Mark Glick in the first part of the program about various new developments, including in the legislature with the barrel tax and the GEMS program and the on-bill financing program and more. So that's good. Things are happening. And the thing with the PUC, I mean, I really think that could lead to new movement, new directions, and new facilitation. What are you going to say?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so here we are now for maybe the most important part of the program, yeah?
The part that we haven't talked very much about, actually.
No, we haven't talked about transportation. It's been, like, it's been behind the curve, and everybody says, what happened to transportation? Nothing, nothing. So we got to catch up with you about this, Crystal.
We do. Transportation uses about a third of the oil that we import every year. So it really is a big deal. But it takes, transportation can be kind of tough. It really takes some behavior change and change in thought about how you choose a mode.
Are you optimistic about that, about the behavior change? I always
I am.
like to. Really? Because
I
when
am.
I look at the highways and I see these people in the $70,000 tinted windows, SUV cars that are like tanks and use as much gas, I don't understand it. Because, even if we didn't have a substitute for oil, you can still do a lot of, talk about Hawaii Energy, right? You can do a lot of things on the highway, not to have a $70,000 gas guzzling tinted window SUV, but still, that's the coin of the realm, isn't it?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things I'd like to point out is that you're not going to have everyone cease driving a car. And it's not even realistic to think that they would. And yes, maybe we would like a different kind of car to be used, but still, car usage is part of the transportation mix. What would be wonderful is if people would stop and think about, what trip am I taking? What is really the best mode for me to take this trip? So to get kind of to our topic for today, for a lot of people, a car share vehicle is the kind of mode that would work really well
Let's
for them.
revisit what that is. What
Okay.
qu'est-ce que c'est car share? Qu'est-ce que c'est, right? Because they use that term at the university all the time. It's French, right? It means what are you talking about?
Okay. Well, a car share vehicle is very much like it sounds. It's usually a membership-based program where once you're a member, it gives you access to a fleet of vehicles that you rent by the hour or sometimes by the minute even, depending on the program.
Wow.
So it allows you to be like a regular transit user and still have a car available when you need to run an errand that you need a car. It allows a lot of families to not buy a second car.
But what about
because
my
they only need
socks?
one.
What about my dirty socks and my?
You got to take your dirty socks with you.
my running shorts. Why can't I throw them in the back seat
Costs
with
extra.
newspaper and last week's lunch? Why can't I do that?
Well, you could, but there's a charge for turning it back dirty.
Okay, so you have
That's
to be
where the
clean
behavior
about it.
change
Yeah,
comes
right,
into
exactly.
play. You've got to learn to do it a little differently. But just a little change, I think, can mean a lot.
Yeah.
You really can. And so many times in car share programs, what we see is that it allows people to not buy a second vehicle. Once you get that sunk cost in a vehicle, you're stupid, frankly, if you're not driving it, because you're paying a lot of money for insurance and maintenance and all of those things. So the way the system works is you're really incentivized to use that vehicle if you buy one.
Sure, and
Yeah.
people spend so much money on these.
Oh, yeah.
An SUV, they don't have to spend that much. They could get a Toyota truck and be okay. I don't mean Toyota, any kind of truck. But point, though, is why don't we legislate that? When we say, in a given family, a given household, it's easy to define. You can't have more than X cars. How hard would that be? Is that unconstitutional? Why?
Probably.
is the American right guaranteed to have as many cars as you can possibly stock in the garage?
I think part of the problem is that the cost of owning a vehicle is not very obvious. So we all think about, oh my goodness, gas prices are going up, and we, go 5 miles out of our way to find 2 cents cheaper in gas. Gas is just a really small portion of owning a car. Yeah, but it has a huge impact, and part of that impact is climate impact. We don't see a direct cost for what we cause in climate impact
So
by
if
burning oil.
car sharing works,
It
then
does
maybe
work.
you don't actually need my legislation that I like so much. That you could encourage people, incentivize them to use the car sharing, and they say, why am I spending X dollars for insurance on this
Yeah.
vehicle and the maintenance and all the headaches and parking, even at home, I don't have space for it because I have 6 cars in the bloody garage, and if I can get rid of one of them because I'm car sharing, then that would be good. So, maybe it's a cart and horse thing, a car and horse, whatever.
At my condo, we actually have very limited parking. So a neighborhood car share program would be really ideal.
Neighborhood. Okay, so how does that work?
So there are different models in car sharing models. Zipcar is one that I'm familiar with
This little one,
from not here, but
little
from
tiny
Portland.
one. So cute.
That's actually the smart car. That's
Smart-
the
oh,
Daimler
okay.
smart car.
Okay.
Zipcar was one of the original car share programs, and they placed cars in neighborhoods. And they had a whole range of cars. So you could get the little hybrid, now would be electric car, to a pickup. So, which was really, really nice. So you needed to move, or you needed to bring home a new dresser and it didn't fit in your little car, or you didn't own a
Good.
car.
I don't want them to come in to me and ask for my truck all the time.
Right. You can rent that car for the short period of time that you need and put it back, and you're good to go.
So, okay, just the mechanics now. So I'm walking down the street. I decided I got to deliver a dresser. I need a truck. Okay, I want to find a truck in my neighborhood, not too
Right.
far away. I don't have to drive to get to the truck.
Right.
That's going to drive me. So there's somewhere on the street will be parked a truck.
Yep.
And it will have a big sign on it that says on the side, it'll say car share,
Only.
car share Hawaii. Right?
Car share parking only.
Okay.
We actually don't have neighborhood car share here. It's one of the things I'm really hoping will happen. We do have car share programs on the island. The
Okay.
University of Hawaii at Manoa has a car share program. So does Hawaii Pacific University. The cars are really stationed there on the campuses, and it's really designed to help students in particular, but also employees.
How about third parties who come walk on the campus?
You can, if you join the car share program, anybody in the car share program can borrow a car from any place.
This is a growing pain kind of thing because you've got
Yes.
to create cohorts and communities. It's like credit unions of a
Yes.
kind, and qualified people and not cohort. Otherwise, you have a management issue about
Yeah.
having too many people with too few resources and all that. But you didn't go to my point about. So I'm at home and I get the bright idea. I want to get a truck to take my dresser across town. How do I get to the truck?
So if you had a program like that, the neighborhood vehicle would be within a specified area that would be convenient to walk to. And hopefully that truck is convenient within your neighborhood. You would go down with your card. Most of the programs have transponders in the vehicles. So you use your program card to open the
Opens
doors.
the door.
Right. Start your rental period. And then when you get back, you bring it back to the same spot and you close it with your card. Now
Where are the keys?
the keys are in the glove box usually. So there are other models though. There is another model that some of the car companies, like the smart cars that you talked about, where they come in and they put cars, they blanket a city with cars that don't have specified parking spots. They've made an agreement with the city to be able to park them, and they pay a fee. So, you know, everything's
says
taken care
smart
of.
car on it.
Right. So you go and you use your phone to find a car. You use your card again to open it up and use it, but it's a one-way rental. So you get to wherever you want to be, you park it in a spot, and you just leave it. You're done.
You know, we interviewed a fellow at MIC, Minoa Innovation Center, a few weeks ago. Toyama was his name. I forget his first name. And he was starting a little entrepreneurial business about driveways. Have you heard this? It's really interesting. So he gets the driveways in his database. You have a driveway you're not using, you go to work, nothing in the driveway. So it's in the database. Now, if I want to park in your neighborhood, I can rent your driveway all online from you for a few bucks. And now I have a driveway I can park at. And it's all, you know, it's all computer stuff. It's really so easy. And so the same thing, I
Makes
don't know
a
if
lot
they're
of
doing
sense.
this with
Yeah.
car share.
Yeah.
I'm looking for that truck, so I get on an app and it says, oh, you want a truck, it's around the corner.
Right.
And it's parked in space number 6SJ7, and all you got to do is walk down there. So I don't have to,
Right.
you know, cruise the streets looking for my rent-a-car, my share a car. So this has got to be coming. You have to talk to Toyama, he'll help you.
Yeah. There's actually another model that's kind of similar to that is in California. It's called peer-to-peer car sharing. So, and in Hawaii, we would have to do a little tweaking of the law about what considered a commercial use on your insurance policy. But all the West Coast did that tweak. So peer-to-peer, you put your vehicle up on a website that says, it's available to rent for you choose the amount during these hours. Everybody has a profile, so you get to decide who rents your car. But in California, the average monthly rental amount that people are making is like $250 because your car sits there all day while you're at work. It may as well be used by someone else.
You got to sort out the legal, no, it just sounds like, you know, you're responsible. You know,
Right.
the basic rule is you're responsible for the car, whoever's driving it.
Right. There are some legal issues. If we were going to do it here, we would have to sort them out, but California, Washington, and Oregon sorted those out. So we do have a model to follow if we wanted to try and look at that. But I was just hitting off what you were talking about, rent my driveway space. Well, it could be rent my car as well.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah.
It's out of mind. The other thing is you talked about the legislature and the rental car company. Isn't there a bill in the ledge this year?
Absolutely.
And I think it succeeded in
did.
order to tweak the statute about to
The
let
tax.
rental companies do car share. This is good.
Yes. So we worked really hard to get the bill through the legislature this year. It's waiting for the governor's signature, and we're really hoping that he will sign it. Originally, we didn't have a definition for car share companies. So they fell under the regular rental car company. And as you know, we have a tax on every car rental that happens. The tax is $3 a day. So when it was a car share, you're only renting for an hour, but you were still having to pay $3.
Yeah.
So it was a
That would really affect the
substantially.
feasibility of the project.
It did, and we believe that it has been kind of holding down kind of the immersion of more car share companies in Hawaii because it is kind of a substantial fee. So the bill defines what a car share company is, so that there isn't a confusion between a straight rental car company and a car share company, and then it reduces that tax to 50 cents per hour. It can be assessed per minute with a cap of $3 if you kept the car share vehicle
For
for,
all day.
yeah. Whenever it gets to $3, so over 6 hours, if you kept it, then you'd have a $3 cap.
So, talk about barriers. You know, suppose Ray and I, this is after we buy one of those bonds from the GEMS program. We'll go in together on this, Ray. we'll be,
I wanted to just borrow your truck. I didn't realize you had a truck.
I guess
That's what my neighborhood
secret
needs,
out,
is a community truck.
That's
exactly
right.
what I'm
That's what
getting
I've
to.
always thought about.
That's exactly what I'm getting to. So you and I decide with our remaining cash, we are going to start a car share business. And we're going to buy just half a dozen, not a lot,
Okay.
vehicles. We'll buy used vehicles, and we will get them into the system somehow, okay? And my question to Crystal is, can we do that?
Sure.
How can we do that? Will Ray and I be able to make some money on this? Is this something that John Q. Public can get involved in, or is it, for only the big car companies?
Oh, I think you can do it. I actually know somebody, and I'm not going to say any more, but I know somebody who is actually looking at trying to do car share in the luxury market. So
Okay.
I do think that particularly with this change in the law, we're going to begin to see some really innovative things with car share. Whether or not you can make money at it,
We'll see.
that's another
It's
question.
a competition. It's
That's
a
right.
supply and demand issue. But I mean, that's encouraging to hear that, because it means that once the government gets involved and, and doesn't overtax us, with that change that just happened, and once the government designates spots or allows parking spots to go free for
Well,
car
the city
share.
of Portland did that,
Yeah.
and other jurisdictions have
We're not
done
doing that yet.
We have not done that
Next
yet.
year's
And I
project.
don't, I'm not privy to any of those
Okay.
conversations, so I don't know.
Okay, but so even without that, Ray and I can buy our 6 cars. So far, I haven't seen any government action on this. It's just Ray and I buying 6 cars and registering the name of our corporation, which is the Ray J Corporation, LLC, whatever. Okay, and we can put them out on the street, right? What
Yep.
else do we have to do?
You
And we
need a
have to-
computer program that's going
computer, and we
to,
have to make membership for people
Right.
who would qualify.
Yes.
We have to get subscriptions where they pay us, whatever.
Yes.
Either a subscription, well, I guess a subscription fee plus a rental or a
As they
sharing
use,
fee,
yes.
a use fee. And that's it. And we can do that. I suppose we have to get a lot of insurance on this, just as a backup.
Of course, yeah.
I would think there'd be,
But that's
yes.
just that's the cost of doing the business. Yeah.
Sure.
And the customers pay for it ultimately, or you're not successful, right?
It's very similar to the model for bike share. Only, we're just talking about a different mode. But if you think about the bike share, now bike share does go back to a specific station, but you can equate that to a specific spot. So, there's kind of similar ideas.
I think having cars in a neighborhood, I mean, I'm thinking about my neighborhood, and I'm serious about the truck, because a lot of us
Oh, me too.
who once drove a big SUV, which we could haul things in, when you downsize and get an electric vehicle, maybe you can't
Yeah.
haul the kinds of things you used to, but once in a while, you want to do that.
That's why we still have a Ford Explorer sitting at home that I'm paying all this money for,
Aha.
that I want to get rid of,
Aha.
because we have an electric
I
vehicle
have a
for our primary vehicle.
1997 4Runner
Yeah.
sitting out
Oh,
front,
my God.
and whenever I want to use it, I have to take the battery charger out there and charge it, because it never goes anywhere unless I've got to haul something big. But if we had a neighborhood truck,
Yeah.
wow,
And think
Yeah.
of the money we could save by
Oh.
not insuring these things.
absolutely.
I think this is only beginning. Assuming we have not identified any barriers that are really a problem for us. We could just go and do this, right? Do you have to have a license to rent a car? Maybe you do.
Oh, sure. You're going to have
You
to
have to have
vet
a
people.
dealer's rental license, or some kind of license from the state.
You
gotta
mean
get it.
as the
If
car
Ray,
share
if Ray and I
member?
get involved in this sharing thing and we buy our 6 vehicles, we're going
There
to have
is some
permission to do
registration
it.
that you have to do with the state.
Yeah.
The new bill talks about that.
Yeah, the car rental companies might not like us a lot.
It's
Especially
really a
when you
different
consider
niche.
that our 6 cars are going to be clunkers.
It's
They'll
a
work.
very different
I've got a
niche.
4Runner you can put on the street.
People that rent cars from car rental, it's really different. They have a different reason for doing it. Car share kinds of reasons are different, and the regular straight rental market does not work very well for them because it's not designed to do that.
By now, we've gotten them all excited about their first car share experience. So tell us where we are on the continuum, Crystal. How long do they have to wait? Where can they go? Is this available now? And if so, where? Tell us what the snapshot is
Okay.
right now and how long they have to wait to get involved.
So the one program that I'm quite familiar with is the Enterprise Car Share program on the University of Hawaii at Manoa's campus.
Like enterprise car rental?
It's Enterprise, it's the same folks, but they have a car share arm. They actually have car share throughout the United States, and but that's the one program here that I'm most familiar with. You can go online and you can sign up for that program. The inconvenient part of it is that you would have to pick up the vehicle on the campus and return it to the campus, but you could use that car share vehicle.
I have to
It's
pay
very
$5 or
inexpensive.
$6 to get on the campus with my truck.
Well, if you're going to come park, that defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
We got to work these things out.
There's a few details here.
We've got to get Jay riding bicycles.
Yeah,
Yes,
no
that's
kidding.
what everybody tells me.
You know, really for some of the trips, a bike, when you do car, bike, bus challenges, the bike beats every time, hands down, because they can maneuver fast, they don't have the parking issues.
Regrettably, we're not out of the woods on bikes. There was a Century ride over this past
I
weekend,
know.
and there was a beat up, and some fellow didn't
It
like
was
the cyclist.
really
Oh, really?
Beat him
unfortunate,
up,
yeah.
and broken bones are involved.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Really too bad. And I don't know how you fix that. It's an attitudinal thing. It's a public education thing.
And you put more bikes out on the street. When
Always ride in the company of larger people who are larger than you are.
really, when it is attitudinal, that was just a really unfortunate thing. But what's helpful for drivers is when you have enough bicyclists or pedestrians or whatever out on the street that they come to look out for them because they expect them. In a lot of situations, there are so few bicyclists out riding on the street that cars just don't expect
The
it.
more
Drivers
the
don't
safer.
expect
It's
it.
the old
It
story.
truly is.
Yeah,
The more
sure.
the safer it is.
Okay, well, I think we further exposed car sharing today.
I hope
And
so.
I think we have to keep on doing that. We have to get status reports from you from time to time.
What we really
find out.
need is the governor to sign that bill. So if anybody feels so moved,
Just tell them.
write a letter
Tell
to
them
the
why.
governor.
Tell them why.
Please sign the bill because we need this. It will expand car share, and car share is a really wonderful thing.
We're into multimodal, and this is the way to do
Yep.
it. We attack this huge problem in transportation one step at a time.
There are so many things. It's not just the oil usage. It's not just congestion. Motor vehicles are one of the big water polluters. I mean, there's just air pollution. It's just there's so many reasons why we have to change our behavior.
Gotta
We just
protect
really
our-
we have to.
Our environment, our quality of
We
life.
live on an island.
Yeah.
We're going to be
And
big
we're gonna
impact.
Find that out one way or the
Yeah.
other, sooner or later.
It's true.
Okay, Ray, this is your chance to make sense of it, put it all together. We've had a lot of information on this show, and I'm hoping that you can sort of strap it together in one philosophical, profound statement.
Well, we have this big energy issue, and it's related to sustainability, and we're beginning to attack it from all angles now, and I think that's a good thing. We've still got a long ways to go, and ultimately, everybody has their own opinion, but I think we really need to start thinking about the sustainability of the planet that we live on, and start reducing our carbon footprint. So all of these things that we've talked about are doing that and giving people more tools to get there. Whether they ride a bike or ride a car or electric vehicle, or do an energy efficiency thing for their home, helping us to get to that point where we are a more sustainable society is the key. And I'm very happy to hear about this. I was not familiar with the programs that that you quoted elsewhere in the nation. So I'm looking forward to seeing it here.
Yeah,
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Crystal.
thank you.
It's always fun, always nice, always instructive. This is ThinkTech Talks, Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy on Wednesday. Why not? Exciting new developments in energy with Mark Glick, Crystal Steiner, Ray Starling, and me. Aloha.